Folks, welcome back. I have your latest home prices and insights for the City of Toronto for a week ending June 13th, 2022. Today we are on the other side of that massive rate announcement last week. Let me tell you what we experienced working with our own sellers and buyers during the course of that week. That week, the week of the rate announcement, our buyers, for some reason, put a pause. They wanted to wait and see. A few days leading up to the announcement was on the Wednesday. A few days leading up, it's like, let's just wait and see what happens. But previous to that, we're showing them properties 2-3 times a week. And then the rate announcement happened. They needed a few more days to digest what happened, what this means. And now we're back in business. We're going out to see properties again. We saw this with our own buyers. We saw this with our listings. We saw showings that are already kind of low come right down. And sellers, can you imagine you're a seller on the market and you're already priced lower than you thought you would be, and now nobody's coming for showings? Can you imagine the thought, that the panic that's going through some of the sellers? Can you imagine the questions the sellers have for their realtors? What's going on? These are things we need to deal with on a daily basis. Everybody knew the rate announcement was coming. Everybody knew it was going to be significant, and yet everybody still froze to see what's happened. We're back in business now. We see an uptick in showings. We see an uptick in activity. But that's what happened during the week of the rate announcement. It's so important in this market. You're working with professionals that can help you and guide you and can put information in front of you that can help you to make smart decisions for you and your family. Who you hire matters. If you feel this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. Let's get into the numbers. If you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. Below this video, in the description is a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you. This way I'll know ahead of time. I'll make sure that my schedule's organized so we could talk about whatever's on your mind. And if you're looking for an awesome 1-bedroom condo with a huge den that could easily be a separate room in the heart of Kingsway, check out the video at the end of this video. Okay, let's get into the numbers, but I kind of need to say some of these numbers that we're looking at on a weekly basis, especially this week, some of them are not going to make a lot of sense. So let's try to focus more on the trend and not the one situation one week to the next. Here we go. We're starting with the City of Toronto. This is all for the City of Toronto. Detached properties broken down by week for a whole year. Sales went up a little bit. We sold 101 detached properties across the City of Toronto, which is quite low. If you look at the trend, sales are coming way down. We were selling over 300 a week at our peak. We're now at 101 detached properties sold. 21 of those were at $2 million or more, which is also way down. At our peak, 103. We were selling 80, 70. Last week, 21 sold at $2 million or more. Average sold price did go up a little bit to $1,590,000. You look at the trend though, average sold price is coming way down. And when you compare it to where we were a year ago, wow, well, let's see. We are 10% lower than last year's average sold price. Median price is 3.4% lower than last year's median price. 3 months ago, the median price was $1,625,000. It's now $1,350,000. So prices are headed this way, down. When we look at sales, if we look at year-to-date sales, 27% fewer sales this year, year-to-date, versus last year. The amount of properties selling at list price or more is less than a third now. We're selling 30% of the 101 that sold at list price or more. Last year at this time, 55% were selling at list price or more. Listings year to date, 9% fewer listings. Remember, this is just for the City of Toronto, for detached properties only. And months of inventory came down a little bit. So here's one of the situations where I say, let's really focus on the trend, not so much what happens on a week to week. The trend has been months of inventory is going up. And although it came down a little bit, it's still elevated way higher than what it's been at the beginning of the year. So 3.4 months of inventory, right at the border of what we would call a balanced market, which is at 4 months of inventory. 16 is the average days on market. So that's all the City of Toronto. Let's break it down a little bit further with Central Toronto, West Toronto, and East Toronto. Looking a little bit closer. So here's West Toronto. 38 detached properties were sold. 5 were at $2 million or more. Average sold price jumped up quite a bit from the previous week to $1,421,000. $1,421,000 is 3% higher than what it was a year ago. Median price is $1,222,000, which is 2% lower than where the median price was a year ago. So this is West Toronto, and months of inventory is sitting at 2.9 months of inventory. 24% of those properties sold at list price or more, so less than a quarter. So that's West Toronto, 2.9 months of inventory. Central Toronto, and remember, Central Toronto is the lion's share of the luxury properties. Only 29 detached properties were sold. Can you just try to imagine that? All of Central Toronto, it's a huge, huge area. Only 29 detached properties were sold in that week. 14 of those were at $2 million or more, so about half. Average sold price is sitting at $2,256,000. It's a little bit up from the previous week, but $2,256,000 is 17% lower than where the average sold price was a year ago. Median price of $1,788,000 is 23% lower than where the median price was a year ago. If we go back 3 months, median price was almost $2.4 million. It's now just under $1.8 million. And months of inventory is sitting at 4.6 months of inventory, very much in a balanced market category. Balanced market, months of inventory is between 4 months and 6 months of inventory. It is going to feel like it's a buyer's market, but technically we're in a balanced market. Let's look at East Toronto. Now, as far as activity goes and the volume and the property selling at list price or more, East Toronto is normally the highest. And as far as increase in prices goes, we saw the highest percentage, the quickest increase in East Toronto. We're seeing the opposite now that prices are declining. East Toronto prices are coming down real fast. Only 34 detached properties were sold in East Toronto. And East Toronto is East York and Scarborough. 34 detached properties were sold. Only 2 were sold at $2 million or more. Average sold price has been declining. It's now sitting at $1,211,000. $1,211,000 is 3% lower than last year's average sold price. Median price is also 3% lower than last year's median price. Median price is sitting at $1,075,000. 3 months ago, it was $1.4 million. Now it's just under $1.1 million. That's what's happening in East Toronto. And although in most of Toronto, months of inventory, we saw a slight decline, in East Toronto, months of inventory went the other way, went up. We're sitting now at 2.9 months of inventory. 3 months ago, we're at 0.7 months of inventory. It's going up. It's now sitting at 2.9. I don't know why I'm giggling at that. It's crazy some of the things I see happening. I was doing this and kind of looking at these numbers, stunned when they were going this way. Now I'm, mesmerized at how fast things went up and now how fast things are coming down. So 2.9 months of inventory. Still though, 41% sold at list price or more. We only sold 34, but just under half sold at list price or more. Here's a quick look at semis. 43 semis were sold. 9 of those were sold at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price is $1,258,000, which is a basically 0% increase over last year. We're sitting at the same price that we were a year ago, and median price is 3.5% higher for semis than what it was a year ago. Months of inventory came down quite a bit. It's now sitting at 1.8 months of inventory. It has been going up. Last week it came down a little bit, but let's focus on the trend. Over the next few weeks we're going to, I think, see that months of inventory is going up. 30%, less than a third sold at list price or more for semis. Townhouses, only 19 townhouses were sold across the city of Toronto. These are freehold townhouses. 3 of those were at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price. Townhouses, prices up and down all over the place. And that's because sales, there's so few sales, like 19, 16, 10 are being sold. So 1 or 2 sales, one way or the other, really high or really low, affects the overall average. Average sold price for last week is at $1,114,000, extremely low, which is 6% lower than where the average sold price was a year ago. And median price is basically 2% lower than what it was a year ago. Median price now for townhouses, $980,000. 3 months ago, it was $1,369,000. Now it's $980,000. Months of inventory for townhouses is sitting at 1.6, and less than a third of those sold at list price or more. Condos, 201 condos were sold for week ending July 13th. 201 is way lower than what we've been. We used to be in the mid 400s. Now we're less than half of that. 201 were sold. 21 of those were at $1 million or more. Average sold price went up a little bit. It's now sitting at $770,000, which is 6% higher than where the average sold price was a year ago. Median price is 9% higher. 3 months ago, median price was $750,000. It's now $688,000, and like I said, that's 9% higher than what it was a year ago. Of the 201 that sold, 28% sold at list price or more. So lots of negotiations, lots of time to think and buy a condo without any pressure. Year-to-date sales, 26% fewer condo sales this year, and 3% fewer condo listings this year, year-to-date. Months of inventory came down a little bit, is now sitting at 3.5 months of inventory, with 23 being the average days on market. So when we see a summary of months of inventory, in most cases, except for East Toronto, in most cases, months of inventory came down, which is, normally as months of inventory come down, prices go up. But we're studying these on a weekly basis, and things change on a weekly basis. But overall, months of inventory overall has been going up. We are, in most cases, sitting in a balanced market, and in most cases, it's going to feel more like a buyer's market. Thanks for watching. Again, if you feel this video can help somebody please pass it along. Have an awesome day. Here's your chance to live in the heart of the Kingsway. Welcome to Kingsway by the River Condos. It's a newly built building. This is a 1-bedroom with a den, a large den. This is a corner unit, and it comes with this massive wraparound balcony. Let me show it to you.